Howdy guys, Bookie Laura here. I've read another 3 books, so I'm bringing you some 1-minute book reviews. If you don't already know, I'm basically on a mission this year that I want to make sure that I review every book that I read, and the only way I could think to do that was to do 1-minute book reviews, and I'm thoroughly enjoying them. I have 1 minute to summarise the plot, which is probably my weakness because I have a terrible memory for plots, and then tell you everything that I think about it, which is my strength because I'm good at waffling. Right, so the first book that I've read recently was Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls by Elena or something like that. I can't find her name quick enough, so it'll just have to be. Basically, this is a really beautiful book that tells the story of 100 different amazing women and, yeah, and the amazing things that they've done. It's very straightforward, so each page is a double-page spread where it has some artwork, beautiful artwork, and then it tells you the person's story on this side. A couple of things. Well, I really like the artwork, and the girl who lent me the book in my class also told me that somewhere in the back, which I can't find now, it has all the artwork. Oh, there we go. All the artwork is done by female illustrators too, which I thought was a really interesting sort of thing to include. Overall, I enjoyed this book. It does exactly what you want it to do. It raises the profile of some amazing women. But there are a couple of things I didn't like. I felt... Oh, stop it. I'm so not ready. Anyway, a couple of things that I didn't like was the fact that it tells you that it's aimed for rebel girls when I feel like, yeah, okay, boys can enjoy reading about women too. But I can look past that because I get where they were coming from. What else? Oh, I was left feeling like I wanted to know more. Like, I get that the idea is it's giving you a brief summary of lots of people, but I found that there are a few that I wanted to know more about, and most of them I forgot very quickly because I didn't go in depth enough. And also, some of the time when it was describing the things the women did and trying to make them sound positive, it just seemed crazy. There was one woman who kicked off in an airport and demanded that she got her own plane, or they let her board a plane when she'd missed hers or something, and they made it sound like, well, wasn't she amazing? And I thought, no, she sounds like a bit of a cow, to be honest, but I can get over that. After that, I read Knights of the Borrowed Dark by Dave Rudden. This I picked up at Salisbury Literary Festival last year when he did a reading which was mind-blowingly good. He literally did a reading which was memorised of the book, which I thought was incredible. This is a very, very dark book. I don't read a lot of fantasy, it's not a genre that appeals to me, but it basically follows the story of a kid called Denizen Hardwick, who's in an orphanage, and then one day these guys turn up and suck him away and tell him, you know, wow, you can do magic, come with us and kill baddies. I mean, that's basically it. I really enjoyed this much more than I expected. I ummed and ahed about 4 or 5 stars, and I think I went with 4 in the end, just because I just didn't feel a huge... I tend to give 5 stars to books that I feel a real drive to sort of keep reading, and whilst I enjoyed it, I didn't feel like I had to pick it up at every available second. I think for me, I'm not usually affected by how good a writer is. I prefer a good plot, but this was a good plot, but the thing that really stood out for me was that it was so well written. The language, you know, the way things were described was absolutely beautiful, and it's so well written. I do remember thinking this would be a fantastic book to teach children. I might even use it for that one day. You never know. And then last but not least was James Clyde and the Diamonds of Orchestra by Colm McElwain. This follows the story of a kid called James, unsurprisingly. He's called James Clyde, who is also an orphan, I think, and then one day he finds out that he is actually a really important person in another world, and he's transported to this world and has to try to save them, basically. It's a very strong fantasy book again, which isn't my favourite genre, but I've enjoyed reading it. A couple of negatives. This cover does not reflect the story at all. I mean, this kid on the front, when I looked at it, I thought, wow, I'm going to really enjoy reading about this middle-class kid who's perfect at everything. And then when I was reading it at the very start, he's shoplifting. And yeah, this doesn't reflect a shoplifting bad kid, you know? So I felt that was weird. And then also at the start, oh, I need a minute and a half. I might make these minute-and-a-half book reviews. Also at the start, there was a weird section where he's talking to another character, a teacher, I think. And there's something about the speech that doesn't flow well. you know, both characters sound the same. They're having a conversation and the teacher is saying things that a teacher would never say. And I think at lots of points in the story, I think the speech felt weak. But the story is really strong, actually. At the start, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I can carry on because the speech thing is annoying. And maybe it's not very good writer. But he is a good writer. It's a cracking story. And I did find at the end that I thought I could read the rest of this series. So I enjoyed it more than I expected. So those three, 1, 2, 3, are my most recent reads. Please let me know what your most recent reads are and whether you've read any of these. I highly recommend Knights of the Borrowed Dark for middle grade fantasy, you know, knights and monsters and magic. If you like that kind of thing, you're going to love it, because I don't like that kind of thing and I loved it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.